Justice Kagan? Kavanaugh?
The other side says that you need to take account of the provision that allows the president to essentially have an on-off switch here. And one of the amicus briefs talks about that at some length. In other words, it would be quite extraordinary for Congress to allow billions of dollars, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to be decided by an on-off switch just at the president. There's really no constraints on the president's ability to do that in the statutory language. I think national interest and transition to democracy in Cuba. And they say for that reason, we shouldn't assume Congress intended to give that huge power to the president, so therefore choose the narrower second option as you first described them, I think, rather than the first one. You want to respond to that?
Yes, so Justice Kavanaugh, I think it's exactly the opposite, which is the whole reason we needed this presidential fail-safe is because claims against the Cuban government could be so substantial that they would interfere with its progress to democracy. And that's why there are 4 separate suspension provisions throughout the statute that give ways to toggle on and off claims, including claims and judgments against the Cuban government specifically, as necessary to help diplomatically toward a democratic Cuba. And there's no reason to include those if what we're talking about is a couple edge cases that are linked on to some humanitarian food exports. Then we don't have the wave of claims against Cuban governments that would cause a need for that kind of presidential backstop.
So you don't think there's some kind of clear statement required in connection with that? That's what they, I think, are saying on page 47, and then the amicus brief also. In other words, we'd expect Congress to speak really clearly if they're going to give the president so much power, and they.
I mean, first, I think Congress probably thought it was putting on more constraints. In fact, if you are looking at the legislative history, the conference report said, we don't think in good faith the president could actually impose this suspension, but leaving that to the side.
Well,
again,
it was in place then from 96 to 2017, right?
It sure was. I think the president and Congress probably had differing views, but what they didn't have differing views on was the importance of this wave of claims against Cuban instrumentalities, and that's why you need to have 4 different suspension provisions to toggle on and off for all the diplomatic circumstances. You just don't need that if we're talking about a couple edge cases getting through.
Thank you.